Why, hello everybody. We're going to solve a couple of these problems. I'm going to solve a couple of these problems that have to do with right triangles that happen to be similar. Okay, so in each of these pictures, we have a right triangle that has an altitude drawn. Okay, and when you draw an altitude of a right triangle, you make three similar triangles. Okay, and there happens to be two different proportions that we use all the time in this kind of setup. So we're going to look at number 6. Okay, so number 6, we have x, y, and z. Y is the altitude, x is a segment of the hypotenuse, and z looks like it's the long leg. Okay, so we can't do a whole lot right here with x, y, and z, but I do know this is 12 and that's 4, and I'm going to solve using a proportion. Well, this is the short side of my triangle, and this is my hypotenuse. So I'm going to set up a proportion where I compare the hypotenuse of my large triangle to the short side of my large triangle. Okay, and I'm going to do that same comparison with the small triangle. Okay, what happens is we get a nice proportion, and that involves one side twice. So the hypotenuse of my large triangle is x plus 4, okay, over the short side of my triangle, which is 12. Okay, so that's hypotenuse of my large triangle over short leg of my large triangle. So now we're going to come back and do with the small triangle. Okay, so this is the hypotenuse of my small triangle. So because these are similar, these things are in proportion. So hypotenuse of my small triangle, and this is the short leg of my small triangle. So I get a nice proportion here where I use one side twice. Okay, this side that's 12 is the short leg for my largest triangle, and it's also the hypotenuse for my smallest triangle. So I can solve this by cross multiplying. 12 times 12 is 144, and on this side I distribute and get 4x plus 4. Okay, so this is a nice algebraic equation that I can solve without a whole bunch of trouble. Whatever 140 divided by 4 is, well, that's got to be 35, it looks like. Right, 4 goes into 14 3 times with a remainder of 2. Yep, so x is 35. Which is good to know, because now I'm going to use that information to figure out some other stuff. Oh my goodness, where'd it go? Let me put it back. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to take that and solve for y. Okay, now y is a special thing in that we call the altitude. So y is an altitude for my triangle. Okay, I need some more space. Here, I'll do it up here. Y is the long leg of my small triangle, and it's also the short leg of my medium-sized triangle. So I'm going to compare the short leg and the long leg for the small and the medium-sized triangle. Okay, and this is going to give me a nice proportion. So the short leg of my small triangle is 4, and the long leg of my small triangle is y. So 4 over y. That's going to be in proportion to the short leg of your medium triangle, okay, which is this one, y again, and the long leg of your large triangle, which is 35. Okay, so we use this proportion. We're comparing the short leg and the long leg of your small triangle and your medium triangle. So we cross multiply. Y squared equals 4 times 35 was 140. So y is going to be the square root of 140, okay, which I'm sure is a decimal, but I don't have a decimal calculator right here. So I don't know what that is, but this is root 140. And now to solve for z, okay, for z is the long leg. So I'm going to compare the hypotenuse and the long leg for the large and the medium triangle. Okay, because z is the hypotenuse of your medium triangle, and z is the long leg for your medium triangle. Sorry, the long leg for your large triangle. Okay, this side belongs to two different triangles, and that's what we want to do. So the hypotenuse for my big triangle is 39. Okay, 39 is the hypotenuse of your big triangle. So 39 over z, the long leg for your large triangle, is in proportion to the hypotenuse for your medium triangle. Okay, this is the hypotenuse of the medium triangle over the long leg of your medium triangle. Okay, and we get this nice proportion that has one letter repeated twice. So this becomes z squared equals 39 times 35, which is a large number. So z is going to be the square root of that product, 39 times 35. Okay, which is something I am sure, but I don't quite know what it is right now, so we're just going to call it that. You can calculate it on your own, I'm sure. You are plenty brilliant enough to do that. Okay, so there are three different ratios, well, actually two ratios. Well, it involves the hypotenuse and the short side, the hypotenuse and the long side, or the short side and the long side for two out of those three triangles. So depending on what you're asked to solve, you're going to use one of these three proportions. Like on number 7 over here. Okay, x is the this is the short leg of your medium triangle. So this is your medium triangle. The short leg of your medium triangle, and it's also the long leg for your small triangle. Okay, and this is the small triangle on this side. So we're going to compare the short leg over the long leg. Okay, so the short leg for your small triangle is 8, and the long leg for your small triangle is x. Okay, and now we look at our medium. X is also the short leg for your medium triangle. So short over long is in proportion to short over long. 12 is the long leg for your medium triangle. So cross multiplying, x squared equals 96. 8 times 12 is 96. So x is the square root of 96. Okay, which is bigger than 4, bigger than 9, but less than 10. Somewhere in there. Root 96 is an awesome answer. You don't have to simplify that. But if you need to, your calculator can handle that. Okay, so you need to be able to figure out which leg, which triangles these variables belong to. Okay, because when you do that, you can figure out the proportion and you can get everything right. Okay, so you solve all of these using proportions. Okay, happy practicing proportions.